What is up, all forms of social media? James Joseph Edward Jesperger Jr., but please call me Jimmy for short. Today we are reviewing Season 4, Episode 9 of Attack on Titan, Brave Volunteers. Now, I'm going to be completely honest. Coming into this episode, seeing the preview from last week, I had no idea if I was even going to enjoy this episode. As I said before, I'm more of a person who enjoys the action. I do love a good storyline, but where it was in the series and in the season, I thought it was going to be like action, 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 and then kind of like drop off, which I guess it kind of did. But for me, it kind of felt like too much of a drop off, but that's just my opinion. What's going to happen is what's going to happen. But I didn't know how hard this episode was actually going to hit me specifically. During this episode, I actually got a little bit emotional. There have been a ton of people who have already been like, oh my God, Sasha's death, etc., blah, blah, blah. And I didn't feel too emotional about it until we had Nicolo, who was the chef, who was kind of like giving out and pouring out his emotions, not only to her and through the, backstory elements, but like also was talking to her family and saying that they could eat whenever and stuff like that. That just made me really emotional. And even Connie saying, she was like my twin. Like now it feels like a part of me is dead. Uh, yeah, this episode was kind of not what I thought it was going to be. I loved the transitions between Armin saying like, was this the right thing we were supposed to do? Like, we had to kind of do this, but like in the long run, could we have just talked to them? Which is kind of like the big question of this whole series is like, or this season is like, was it the best option to attack them when these Marlians have done so much bad to these people, and they even said that they're fighting with other countries at the same time, but now there's like a world peace now that they're trying to face one other person who they created this monster, etc. I knew on Twitter that this was coming. I don't read the manga, even though I read everything else for manga, but I knew it was coming. The sexy Aaron scene in front of the mirror. His hair seemed a little bit longer in the comic. It seemed like he just got his hair back into like a ponytail or something, but beggars can't be choosers. He does look ripped though. Like he has been training for this moment, especially when it was interesting for them to tell the Titan team like, hey, we have like aircrafts, we have like more powerful guns, and like it's interesting, even with food, they haven't had seafood, they haven't had all this extra kind of like joys that even I like to think of Attack on Titan set in, I'm not going to give like an exact time period because like I know it's not exact, but it almost feels like the Marlians are in like 19, maybe like 30s, like maybe 1920s, 1930s. And it feels like the Attack on Titan teams are like back in almost like the Middle Ages. They do have some, I'm not going to say exactly, like they're not like, they do have tech, they do have some cool things. Maybe I would say like end of the 1800s or the beginning of the 1900s. But it's so crazy to see how like far progressed the Titan team can be. Like it's almost like they had to like reintroduce society. Maybe it's because like a ton of people got thrown into it and they already had the knowledge that they had before, but it's really interesting to see. So if you didn't realize throughout this episode, which was pretty damn clear, this was a 3-year, backtracking of telling us what has happened in the last 3 years. And we see some really interesting point of views, as I've already said. I really liked Armin's whole like monologue throughout this episode. It wasn't just like the beginning and the end. It was like beginning, middle, and end. We saw a lot of him talking throughout this. And even Eren throughout this is dealing with the repercussions of like, he is still, even though he is a Titan and he is an Eldian, or I forget the actual pronunciation and the spelling, but like he is part of the Titan team, or he is a Titan. It's like, does he keep his humanity to keep doing this? So the craziest part of this episode, and I'll probably leave this episode, it's probably gonna be a shorter episode for me, or a shorter review for me, is Zeke is talking about this like master plan that he has. And he says, I'm not going to tell you what my master plan is, basically until Eren has not only the founding Titan in his grasp, and the Titan team has, that Titan, but I also need a royal blood Titan, which they have hinted at past Titans, and now they're talking about the Warhammer Titans. So technically, we're either at the point that we already need to be at, or we're going to move towards getting this other person for Eren to have. I guess we'll see what happens with that. The other two things I wanted to talk about really fast was, and it would have been 3 years ago, so like it's not that big of a deal, I guess, because I do like the general that did it, but maybe he is technically quote unquote evil. Maybe the other team didn't know that he was doing this. The one general, Baldy, I forget his actual name, he took the serum, the Titan serum, to help his people turn into Titans if they want to turn into Titans, because they all have that blood, being Eldians. And it's like, man, what are they preparing to do? Are they prepared to turn every single person that they have on the island into a Titan, which I would think would be pretty damn cool, and it would actually, have it crazy. The last topic I wanted to talk about was we see Falco and Gabby for like a good 2 seconds, and you see that Gabby's actually going crazy throughout this. She actually, I mean, there's a spectrum of everything, and you could also say like maybe she isn't going crazy, maybe she's just being like, she's dealt with a lot. We can't say that she hasn't dealt with a lot. But on top of that, not as much as the Titan teams, but she only knows one thing right now, and she believes that Eren is the worst thing that's happening right now. And we even see Zeke, before he goes off into the forest in his hotel. I really like that joke, his hotel. He was like, I want to talk to Falco and Gabby because I think they need more of an understanding of what's going on and why I did this. We also saw that Zeke is kind of like the forefront of all this. Hey guys, a short little insert right here. This is Future Jimmy actually editing the video. I finally was done being dumb about the topic, and I was like, when I finally realized, I was like, you know what, I feel like if the anime has already said his full name, which has the same last name as Eren, unless this is a spoiler, you don't want to hear it, you don't have to hear it, but I looked it up. Zeke is Eren's older brother, which I was like, okay, he looks a little bit older than I thought he would be, but it turns out, spoiler alert, it turns out that Eren's father had a wife and kid before he met Eren's actual mother and had Eren. So that makes more sense. That's why he went back into the city. I remember it now lightly in the back of my head, like remember hearing that, but I just wanted to put it out there that I was like, I completely forgot since like rewatching Attack on Titan, but clarification, that's all I wanted to put in there. Okay, thanks. Enjoy the video. But that's from my review of this episode. I thought it was pretty damn cool. I definitely thought it was going to be a filler episode. It was half filler, half like we needed context on some things. And I definitely feel like the next episode is going to be like that again. And the next episode we have is episode 69, which is kind of funny. And it's going into how Niccolo is going over to the family and he's, feeding them. It's going to be called A Sound Argument. So we're basically going to hear what's the plan for how they're going to take over and how they're going to start attacking. But as always, my name is James Joseph Edward Jesperger Jr., but please call me Jimmy for short. And I'll always see you guys in the next one. Peace.